Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's session, a bit of casual, where we're gonna you're gonna learn about how I spend my daily life as a DevOps engineer, and I do really hope that you will have a understanding, specifically if you are a wannabe DevOps engineer, or suppose you are a fresher guy who want to understand what in the future the tasks might look like. It might not be exactly same, but could be similar, right? So I will talk all about that, and yeah. So my live session have a very easy rule. When you are joining the session, do comment from where you're joining, and if you have any question in your mind, do feel free to let me know. Okay, and do let me know that you can see me properly and the voice properly. Okay, because streaming software sometimes have some minor issues, right? Okay, so it's Kaushal Singh. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Kaushal. Okay, good. It looks like everyone already joining, so great. Okay, so where from I start? So I will start with the day. So as a starting of the day, I usually wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. Sometimes, suppose I sleep late night, say 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Just in case for any reason, I have a baby, so it can happen. In those cases, I wake up around 8 or 9, around 9 or 9:30 maybe. Sometimes it depends. So as the late I sleep, I had a minimum, you can see the body remember at least to 6 hours to sleep. So the late I sleep, the wake up, the time it would take to wake up, as usual. Okay. Now, so let's say around 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. it varied. Okay. Then in the morning, I think for all the teams, not just me or my clients, most of the cases, all the teams have their morning team meeting. Now, why actually morning team meeting? Some may say, okay, we don't have morning team meeting because you might be working for a local company where maybe it's okay to have 11 a.m. or 12 a.m. or 12:30, doesn't matter. But for me, or just maybe for the like similar to my colleagues also, we work for US company, right? And the client for us is morning, and it's for them it's night or evening based on the time zone they live. So that is why there is a morning meeting. Okay, and maybe could be other reasons. It could be even your normal team where uh, it's just they want to do early so that they can leave for the office. Could be any reason. Okay, but on an average, we have a morning meeting. So after the morning meeting, we what do we discuss? We discuss about what could be our, what is the immediate P0 or say priority zero kind of, the task that to be done so that something urgent is to be covered up. So that we list out. I have a, notebook. I mean, before the notebook, I actually had one simple note that I got from the company. I think, no, it's a very old company, or even I go to different events, right? So there also you get a lot of notes, keeping things. So there I do keep all the notes. And previously, like before having the iPad and all, there I used to keep a note there. Okay. And I put a myself, I put a times. Okay, this is the time I should to cover. At least 3 hour, take 4 hour, or maybe one day, whatever it is. I just keep a my like to reminder to myself, we need to deliver in that time. So that is there. So yeah, because in the meeting we get what is the P0 or priority zero has to deliver fast. Then what are the tasks that is affecting others, like maybe blocking tasks that you need to do first, then so that you can unblock other people. Okay, so those tasks also need, like after the P0 task, those are the priority. And then could be some priority, like say not priority, I will say yeah, priority tasks which maybe need to be done within next day, or like do if you have time after the priority task done, if you have time, then complete this task. So these are the main 3 4 categories we have to do. First is the top priority task, then the secondary priority, and then the rest of the things that we have to deliver over time. Okay, so that's how we divide the task. After that, I mean, once it's done, suppose for my task, like before starting my task, maybe too related to my tasks, I have to talk with somebody to get some clarification, or maybe some knowledge transfer, or could be some queries I have to ask, like requirement analysis we can call it, just to see the things that you are working on. uh, that one. Okay, so before, just to be clear on the task was going to start, you have to have a very clear idea that Is it right, or you're doing something wrong? So those kind of questions. So after that is done, we start working. Now, what are the things I work on daily? Okay. So, okay, I think one very good question. I will just cover the question, maybe answer later on. Can you explain one of the P1 tasks as a part of DevOps engineer? That's a good thing. I will definitely answer that. So, let's say the task is, of course, a common thing. Suppose the P0 task. Suppose we have to, for the client, they need to have certain number of servers ready, so they can, and servers ready, and we have to deploy the servers, with the latest codes and all. Then after, maybe that application might work. So those are the P0 tasks that you have to deliver to the client for testing, or integration and all that. That is the first priority, so that at least it is up and available, so that other clients can use it. Okay. So that's one of the example of P0 task. Now, yeah. So what are the things we do as a DevOps engineer? So the first thing if you just ask me, like, most common thing, okay, as a DevOps engineer, for me at least, it's the infrastructure as a code. So you can say my most of my time actually goes on the infra as a code part. In Terraform, most cases is Terraform. Okay, so any particular service I have module I have to make, I just make it priority. Say I need to add any new features, I have to update say existing, because see, server requirements and everything keep changing, right? So your codes also have to adapt accordingly, and of course you have to keep optimizing your Terraform script, so that it can be sync with the requirements. That's why it's a never-ending task. DevOps is the infinity sign, right? It's the never-ending. Of course, because of the planning, the requirements always changing, new features, new requirements coming. So my task as a DevOps engineer, I think most of the time that I spend on is the infra as a code, where I have to write for AWS. I have to create configuration for Kubernetes, say EC2, S3, security IAM policies, and I think just remembering myself, and then I think sometime in the ECS, previously it was to be a lot of ECS work. Now it is one of the Kubernetes. Other than that, dynamic user creation and all. Serverless stack I'm using very much these days. So serverless DB, Postgres, SQL, or maybe MySQL. They're based on the requirement. So for example, serverless DB. Then there is now previously actually there was a very good interesting case. Previously it was serverless one. See, that's why change is the absolute thing. Previously we are using the serverless one. Now serverless 2, version 2 is actually a lot better version. Only thing it lag at the moment, you cannot stop it forever. Like, you have to put a minimum 0.5 unit, which is I think around 1 GB, something like that. I'm maybe forgetting the exact unit, but it's 1 GB and zero point 0.5 CPU, something like that. And that you can just search and check anyway. But previously in the version 1 of serverless, or I think it's on the Aurora serverless, more accurate. In the Aurora serverless, it was 2 unit. Now it can be 0.5 unit. So that's why its cost saving potential is high. So that we have to migrate. Keep using. So that's what I'm saying. That change is the absolute thing. You are working in a different configuration before, a different technology, maybe, if you can term it. As soon as the new things coming, we have to quickly jump into that. So you have to change according to time. Otherwise, what happen, if you keep using the old tech and all, it will obsolete, and one time you have to replace forcefully. But if you have prepared and do it early, you could have potential very good saving, as well as you will not have the extra pressure that you get later on, right? So that is one thing. Now, so yeah, most of the cases, my time spent on the Terraform, in maintaining a cloud infra using Terraform. Maybe Kubernetes. I do same thing for Kubernetes also. I use a lot of Helm for creating templates and like mega installable packages and all. So that I used. Yeah, most of the cases I will say Terraform for the AWS cloud resources, and Kubernetes. Then after that, the next immediate tool would be Ansible, because we're managing a lot of cluster in EC2 and other places also. So for all the servers, you need to there is set of servers. You have to make sure that all the servers have the latest patches. That is must. Otherwise, anyone can just come and hack the computer because of DDoS fundamental DDoS issue, or could be some some by loopholes in the in the system. Could be anything, right? Could be any issue, and hackers are always looking for all those, right? If you patch the system up regularly, you will have the less kind of risks on that. So whatever is the, you can say, the must have the patches that we do. Suppose you want to install a software in any or multiple clusters, I mean multiple servers, we use Ansible for that. Suppose I want to add a one SSH user, again Ansible you use for that. Suppose that we want to create, I mean copy some configuration file to particular hosts, for that also we use Ansible. Suppose we want to run some change, like deploy the change to all the servers, okay, all it has to be in sync, then also use Ansible. So a lot of use cases, but most cases it's the software installation. Suppose tracking software, or say patching, say suppose the Nginx you have to install in all the web clusters, we have to update the version of Nginx in the all cluster, kind of that way. Is again, it's not just the servers, whatever software required in server to run the application, we do that. Okay, that should be your definition of why, and I mean why you're using the answer. Okay, so yeah, the software installation, user or system management. Suppose you want to clean up some files in temp folder, or maybe some other folder where it to be regularly cleaned up. Okay, that also we can do. Suppose we want to install some, run a particular set of commands. For that also we can use Ansible. There is potentially you can run anything, right, in in the servers by Ansible. So we do that really. Now, after the Terraform and Ansible, the next thing I use is, I think you already might have guessed, Kubernetes. So it's kind of morning, day, night. I have to use Kubernetes. Now, in Kubernetes, what we do, we deploy the services. There's new cluster, suppose for example, we have to deploy the config map, then the resource namespace creation, then the resource creation like services, pods, and all. Then suppose the scaling, of course you have to do scale based on the requirement, it keep changing, you have to set the minimum, maximum, and all that. So that we do in the Kubernetes. Sometimes you have to do patching, or maybe sometimes it's the version upgradation. The risky part is the version upgradation. I think in the morning I was replying to one post, there's someone saying deployed, I mean latest version, and pods are not running. That's another typical issue you face. But if you do cordon, and then if you go to Kubernetes, you will see there is the proper instruction to the migration. Follow that one, it will be much safer. Okay, and there are a lot of articles are there also, it will be very helpful. So I will suggest to go for those kind of articles, like well-known articles, where the risk of migration, something might not work. Suppose in the version 1 point something, say 1.18 or 1.17, something worked, then in the point 1.22 or 21, that support is removed. Now if you are using that particular part in your Kubernetes cluster very actively, or for anything, that's not going to work. And if you it's a critical application, you know, that's going to be a P0 issue you have to fix quickly, right? So those are the things you have to handle. Most cases I will say it's the deployment of services, application mainly in the pods. So those are the things we do normally, and I use EKS. Like most of last 2-3 years it was only EKS. Sorry guys, I'm not that much into other clouds, because I don't get that opportunity in other clouds. That's the fact. I get opportunity in the AWS. That's why I have more experience in AWS. No other reason for that. Okay. Okay, so that's up to the Kubernetes. Now, what is the next service I use? I do a lot of monitoring. So I keep adding alerts for different, like we're adding a lot of system, right? So keep adding. There is automation actually. It will automatically detect and it will add it. That is there. I use Jenkins for the CI/CD deployments. Now, some what happened. I personally prefer AWS pipelines, code commit, code deploy. But what we will do, if the already there is an existing solution which is working and is serving the need, and cost is also okay, in terms of not that high, so there is no point of having so many extra effort to convert that to AWS stack. Something running well, very good, you are able to do a lot of extra things, it has a very good feature. So Jenkins kind of very well known, it's very popular indeed, and it has a lot of plugins. If you go to other systems which is a little bit new or don't have that open community support, you have to do everything from ground zero, and that might take a lot of more time. But for Jenkins, it's actually easier. You go to the Jenkins, plugins repo, plugins list. 99% chance whatever your requirement will get it. Otherwise, you should do your own custom implementation. But most of cases I see my needs are getting covered by the plugin itself. Okay. Then you write, I do write the CI/CD, of course, I said CI/CD. Then I the pipelines. I do another very, I think you guys must have already seen maybe that using Python to automate the Jenkins. That was one of my tasks also. That I've shown you how to do the basics. I do it more advanced level, but you guys should have got the idea how I do it. Okay. Now what next? Now I do a lot of CloudWatch monitoring, alerting. I use in the Kubernetes was covering, right? So Kubernetes also I do ELK stack, and actually last week I was supposed to do a ELK stack like AWS Terraform with AWS plus ELK stack. That got some logo issue. I don't want to upload something that is copyright problem and this and this problem. Logo issue is a big problem. Last 1 or 2 years, I've made a lot of logo issues. It's like without logo, you cannot tell, okay, this is what. You understand, right? So that I have to reshoot because the entire video I put the logo on. I was showing logos here and there. Now the problem is that to edit it, it might take more time. To blur it, maybe hide it. It's so much, so much effort I have to put. I don't want to, but yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, mainly ELK stack. Um, and yeah, Elasticsearch also, as I say, I think Blue Ocean. Look, I will come to all the questions, a lot of questions. I will definitely come to that. Just give me an explanation of what I do at the work. I do previously. I actually use Kafka. So a few years back as a DevOps engineer. Now I don't have the requirement, but I did use the Kafka. Then, of course, Python scripting a lot I do. Previously, I was using Node.js, I think last few years, and JavaScript. But now it's more Python work I do. Some Go work I do for my personal project, but that should not be counted here. As a DevOps engineer, I do use Python more for automating automation and scripting. Other than that, I think yeah, I have to take part in. So there are in a day at least 1 or 2 meetings, of course, there, and sometimes I might have more meetings where me and other engineers have the architectural meeting. So how should we? There's a requirement came, okay. Most of the cases daily there will be some requirement. So where I have to give my views on how should be the architecture, how efficient. So single mind, if you do, there could be a lot of bugs. If you do it, 2 3 minds together, at least 2 minds together, you might say something and other person might find some loophole on that. So that will make they will make it improve architecture. That I will suggest. Okay. So for any architecture, we do have this kind of architecture design sessions. We do talk a lot what should be, how it should be at the end of the meeting. We have a better view of how it should be the implementation. Then we write out all the documents. Then we send the document to our superior person, or our senior person, or our whatever is the above us, right? And we get the approval. Then he may give you, or he or she may give you the approval, or maybe ask for some changes. So based on that, we make sure that we are what you're next going to do. So that you do, and we give estimation of how much it take, how much we at least add on a 2 or 3 days extra in most of the cases. Sometimes I do less time because I was confident I can do most of the cases. I do able to complete on time. Sometimes there will be unexpected, outcomes, unexpected scenarios which might take some more day. It's better to tell your whatever the higher person that it might take time. They understand because in technology field there will be always some issue, there will be always some problem, unexpected scenarios, so you should tell them. Okay, so that's one thing. Other than that, I think these are the, like just I discussed, these are the most common thing I do as a daily DevOps engineer. Most cases, infra as a code, then configuration as code using Ansible, so Terraform, Ansible, sales. Oh yeah, I so while writing, all this, automation scripting and all, in addition to Python, I do use a lot of shell scripting and Linux because most of the servers we are running are Linux servers, right? And some custom requirement you will might not find the plugins and all, which can be easily actually get completed by your shell scripting if you know shell scripting. So naturally, I do know shell scripting. I'm doing for the last many years, so I quickly write a sales script and I set in the pipeline or maybe automation script that works like a charm. Okay, so that's what I do. I think yeah, you can say in average. I mean, in general, uh, Terraform, Ansible, shell scripting, Python, monitoring using CloudWatch, and ELK stack. Then security IAM. Then that's a part of the infra anyway. So these are the things I do on general on daily basis. So the point I'm making here actually also very important. As a DevOps engineer, I'm not using a single skill. You can see I'm using multiple skill set. Okay, so that and why even actually I'm doing this session actually in the morning because I didn't get any time in this week to go through all the messages. So I decided, okay, whenever I get time, maybe week Saturday or Sunday. Sunday actually I have promised my family to take them out somewhere. They are like crying, they want to go. So I said, okay, in Saturday I will plan something. So for the session, and in Sunday I will take them to uh, outside and maybe have lunch or dinner outside if possible. Okay, if there is no rain and all. So yeah, now the thing is that I no, I was just going through the message and I saw one person saying, "Sir, knowing Ansible and say Kubernetes will be enough for my DevOps career." I say, "What, man? I'm doing a lot of things than only Kubernetes and Ansible. I'm doing Ansible, Kubernetes, sales scripting, OS knowledge is required. Then the Terraform, then the cloud is provided, AWS is required." In Jenkins also you might have to work with Ansible or other tools. Maybe you can automate your Jenkins with Ansible, Jenkins with Terraform. So multiple services work together. It's not just one service you learn and go. No, there is, you can never complete like with a single tool you can never complete. It has to be few other tools and services combined, work together, be it any cloud service, be it any other tools, be whatever it is. It's not a one tool but single, it's not a single service but multiple set of services work together to complete the task. So it is not possible to only use one service or one tool to complete your task or maybe having a stable career. No, you cannot have a stable DevOps career. Even I'm learning the, see, my DevOps is stable, I'm getting huge pay, that's not a problem. But still I'm learning, see, these things, right? The crypto, not currency, the blockchain, the DeFi and all that. Because see, you have to learn how the market reacts to different things, and you have to change as per the requirements. Now, I didn't started doing any real life projects on the blockchain or DeFi, but I'm just developing my skills, and opportunities come all the time anyway. When I feel a bit more confident in myself that I can take on this project and all, I'm gonna definitely work on this, blockchain and DeFi, because that's the future. They need a DevOps engineer or a full stack engineer to complete those requirements. So even if I'm a DevOps engineer, quite very good at it, and I'm getting huge other opportunities as a DevOps engineer, I'm still learning, because what I tell you, that change is only the constant in the technology. There will be maybe something else. If I don't understand, don't learn how to apply DevOps solution for the say blockchain or the DeFi or whatever the blockchain solution are, then in future when even now also there is a lot of requirement which I cannot fulfill. So my target, I'm always learning something new to fulfill that, so that I can get a better pay, so that I can give a, I will be always on in technology, something ahead of other people, so I get more opportunities. That's what I'm coming at. You cannot depend on a single tech or single tool. I'm still learning a lot of things so that I can preparing myself, I can get a better position or get a better pay or better project. So you should also do the same thing if you want to have a very stable career. Stable career you can only get if you have the right skill set. If you have the old or obsolete skill set, many people are there who are having a Pascal knowledge, a very old maybe PHP only knowledge, or very old programming language knowledge, or any old tech knowledge. They are struggling even now also to get a proper opportunity. They are paying maybe what, 30,000, 40,000, even max 1 lakh after 10 years of experience. And you see these days this blockchain developer getting around, I think, 30 40 lakh minimum. 30 40 lakh minimum as a blockchain engineer. See, the difference is very clear, as you can see from the glass, or what is that kind of different it is. New technology will give you always, like, it's always at the better demand if it's working on the market, and it will be the most important thing that you should learn. If you're just a programmer, what is the salary? Maybe, as a even as a fresher, for example, if you have a fresher knowledge, you get 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, max 40,000, or maybe 50,000 if you're joining a very big company, if you're an average guy. Now, if you're an average programmer, you know the solidity, you know blockchain very well, you know one front end programming really well, you are going to have lot of more opportunities than the people who don't have it. Your starting salary, I think, will be 1 lakh or 2 lakh, because that has the demand, that is a requirement. There are a lot of engineers out there, but there are only few engineers who have the skill set of blockchain and all these things. That's why even I'm learning these days. I'm just saying openly, because technology field will change. Now is something, next day it will be something else. So prepare yourself. Okay. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like what I'm daily using, what I'm learning. That's also told you. Okay. Now I think is the time to see what are the questions. I think you might have question. I had told a lot of things, right? So I am very sure that you might have question. So do feel free to ask me all the question. I will definitely answer that. So very first, I mean, I already had some first question. Uh, okay, damn that early, that too early. Was the secret DevOps engineer. Okay. Can you explain one of the P1 tasks? I think that is already told you. What are the about Scrum status call agenda? See, just normal daily meeting happen where they ask about what you did last day or maybe last week based on the where you're having the call or what is the call about. You just give them the update and tell them what is the next going to work, how much time it might take. Just the ETA. You don't have to hard time. Just take the ETA. Okay. Now, my experience from last few, not few, like many years, I've seen 7 8 years only the product company and startup. So that's what I seen so far. For service company, it might be different. Maybe whoever work on the service companies, they can tell in the comment section what is their normal agenda. I think it will be similar because ultimately they also work for other product companies. So, yeah. Okay. Trending and longer stay tool in DevOps now. See, uh, for example, Jenkins was a very I think old tool, but it keep evolving and evolving, and there is a very good community support. It always has the latest tool. It cope up with the latest technology. That is the only reason still it's in the DevOps market. Otherwise, it will be gone, right? So that's one I think still trending and longer tool. I'm gonna say Terraform also is gonna stay longer. There will be always some competitive. Pulumi is growing up there, but again, Pulumi is kind of copycat of the Terraform, as I've seen so far. Only flexibility Pulumi gives you, it help like it allow you to have your programming language as a infra as a code tool writing, because in Terraform you do in the HCL, but in the Pulumi you can have your programming language. Okay, most cases JavaScript, Python, Go, those kind of things. So that's the only thing. So Terraform is going to stay longer. Ansible, I also think is going to stay longer, but again, it's may stay longer. It will be for lifetime. There could be something better will come. Okay. Now, a very good example actually. So for JavaScript, like in my few years back, I was using Mocha for JavaScript testing. But if you ask me what are the tools I use, like what are the testing tool I use for the JavaScript testing, the answer is Jest. And most of people in the industry for JavaScript testing, for automation test writing, will be using Jest only, not the Mocha. See the time change. Mocha was the de facto standard for JavaScript testing. That changed after Facebook released the Jest, right? I think Facebook or maybe is an open source project. Facebook just contributed. Now, could be wrong, could be right. But anyway, the Jest is a tool that I use for JavaScript testing. Okay, so that's one example. So as you asked, like what are the tools going to be trending and longer? Terraform, Ansible, Jenkins. These three tools I think will be much longer. Addition to that, I will say doesn't matter whether tools have one programming language knowledge. I highly suggest Python or Go. Python is the first priority because whatever company you go, they may be using the Python. And Go is also excellent choice. So either Go, Python or Go is better if you are a polyglot programmer like me, because I work on JavaScript, Python, Go, and Rust. So you can have 2, 3, 4 as you have the capacity. Based on your capacity, you can go for the programming language. Okay, but at least Python. Okay. Kubernetes, I don't know the question you have. So what would be an issue when you're running Terraform script and it keep on saying creating instance? See, if it's saying keep on saying creating instance, that means some is not able to connect, or maybe there is something that's going wrong. Could be you don't have the permission. In most cases, if it's a permission issue, they show it as a say 403 denied error and all. But if it's a other issue like say provisioner, you are running a provisioner that's not able to connect with the cluster. Maybe it's port is not open, security was not open, or maybe some other issue. Could be your internet having some blockage to the particular port. Again, issue could be anything. You have to debug it further. You run the dash then vv, that is a debugger command. It will show the exact, I think again I could be wrong about the exact that command. You can see how to run Terraform debug mode, and that way you can get more detailed info why it's failing. That will be helpful. Okay. Yes, DevOps is always ever learning, so that's true. One question is that will it be a good idea to switch from BA role to DevOps? Is DevOps easy or hard? Bachelor of what? Administration? I don't know. BA? No, it's not BA role. Mm, okay, I don't know the exactly what BA role is. Again, sorry, I'm not understanding this BA role. But any role, if it's a technical role, you're coming to DevOps. See, every project you take, it has its own set of complexities. Some project it might be just you have to work with Kubernetes. Some project you might to work with Kubernetes, Terraform or Ansible, or maybe all three. Some project maybe AWS, EKS plus Kubernetes and other tools. So every project has its own set of complexities. Um, Based on that, the hardship will you have to get defined. More tools, more technology, more resources involved, it will be complicated. Only few tools or tech involved, that will be easy. So there is no hard and easy. But in general, if you're thinking about learning all these tools and all, it depends. Basics will be always easy. The more you go further, the more advanced knowledge, it will be hard. So it's up to how much can you take. In general, if you're have the talent for the tech, it will be easy. If you are forcing yourself, that will be not. It will be hard for you. It's Duva saying that exactly definition of continuous integration. What are the tools required? Now, what is continuous integration? In the name itself, it's continuously integrating, right? So suppose you are making one change, okay? Whatever code you do, that most of the cases has a build, right? So making a change that's supposed to have a build or a final binary or artifact, we call it sometimes. So that artifact you are generating from the change, right? Whatever change happening, so that you have the full code, you make some changes, then out of the full code you are making a runnable code or say final binary or build, whatever you call it. Okay. So that build, is it working properly or not? That require testing also. So in a phase where you in the source, say Git or Bitbucket, whatever you have in repo, you're making one change, there should be automated way to run the generate the build or binary final runnable thing, and that your testing is running fine. There is no problem running the test cases. This is what we call a continuous integration. You're checking the is it integratable or not? Is it all succeeding or not? So that before deploying, you have to make sure it's running. Suppose you are not doing testing, you are not checking anything, you're just pushing a bad build to a production system. What's gonna happen? Or even staging system, what's gonna happen? That's definitely gonna fail, right? You are preventing that to happen. In a continuous integration stage, you are making sure it is able to generate a proper build and that build is runnable. Then only you are pushing that next thing, I mean that thing to production. That you do. Okay. That is continuous integration in easy language. And what tools are required? Now you can use Jenkins for and write the pipeline for the continuous integration, even for deployment also if you wish to. For in AWS, I mean it's not AWS, just go to the GitHub Actions. There is Bitbucket Pipelines. There is GitLab CI/CD. Not a CI/CD, of course. If you have to be cloud specific, in AWS, if you have the code pipeline, code commit, code build. Now code commit just a repo, could be Git, could be Bitbucket. Then is code pipeline, which have the workflow you're defining, like after what shade the next say code build, which actually make the build after every code. So after what or which from which repo the code build, we should pull the code and run the builds. Okay. And then after the build is running in the code build, you should have the test cases also involved in your code build YML file to make sure it's running there. So build in the build spec file, you should have some test cases running. And after if the test cases and build happening properly, that should be passed on to next phase for deployment. right? So that CI/CD you could be able to define in the pipeline. So combining for AWS at least, pipeline, code commit, code build. Now code commit is just option. You can have other depot, code build, and then code deploy, and could be other services. Suppose I think in AWS code deploy have a direct support, or in the pipeline also direct support for ECAs, Lambda. So you can do direct deployment as well. So based on your requirement. Okay. Have to be okay. See, I think Mohan said the exact same thing. The other so not hard, but you have to be curious to learn, explore other new thing. If you are not interested enough, it will be hard for you. Okay. Uh, any script to automate the packages so when hit a new instance is running using Ansible. Okay. Any script to auto update in the packages when it hit the new instance we run it using. You can instead of provisioner, you can do use the data. I mean user data. That is why it's a shell scripting only, or you can just pass on in your as a parameter in the Terraform. Whenever instance created, it should automatically execute. You should go for that instead of provisioner. Sometimes if it's not able to connect with provisioner, and it will mark that instance as a stale instance, and it will again when you run it will delete that instance and it will recreate. So much time waste, right? Better to go for the data, use the data mode. Okay, as DevOps engineer, we deploy data clusters in Kubernetes as we create cluster in Hadoop? Of course, I mean deployment is all our thing. It could be data cluster, it could be just the Kubernetes cluster, it could be ELK cluster. We are in charge of all the deployments, right? So we have to do. Um, Next question, sir. I'm not able to get internship. How my I expect from the recruiter? It's a very hard question to be honest, because it's up to the recruiter, the company which offered you the job. It's up to them. Normal cases, within 1 or 2 weeks or maximum 1 month they give the confirmation. If not, then ditch this recruiter and try for other companies. Okay, don't stay hang on. Okay. um, it's Brownie saying then any R data pipeline created as by the data engineers. See, most cases the data pipeline created by the data engineers, but if they don't have the knowledge and the experience and all that, they might just pass on you the requirement like this is the things you require. They require you see logic again. They will know the logic how the data should be processing. So they will just give you the script. You can just define the data pipeline that you can do. So as a DevOps engineer, you have to define and implement the architecture and the just make things in place. The script, how to process the data, how to what to do with the data, how to do mapping, clustering, all the data things, that the data engineers will handle. But infra and implementation or deployment of the server solution processors, that you have to do as a DevOps engineer. Okay. Now, if DevOps has to do it by how much one should have the knowledge. So, data domain again, just as I said, data domain you don't have to have knowledge. Just know that how the service or tick works, how to run that particular service. It could be anywhere. You just have to learn how to run the service. The script again will be supplied by the data engineers because they know what they're doing with the data. We as a DevOps engineer, you don't know that, right? So they will give it to you. You just have to run it and maybe save the data or model is in S3 or some other place that you have to handle. Okay. Even sometimes when data engineers actually handle that part, you just have to give them the S3 bucket name and I think anyway in the when you are running all these codes and all, that particular instance or service has the IAM role to push the data to S3. So again, they don't even need the key. Okay, so I'm not able to get how many. Again, I think you are repeatedly asked the same question, man. So Nishat, simply wait for maximum 30 days. If not, look for other projects. I mean, other company to join. Okay, I think that I answered. Um, okay, it's a Umang saying that can you make video on Kubernetes patching? That is actually an easy video. I will definitely. I did. I was supposed to release man that Terraform Kubernetes video. I got the problem right. So that is my first priority. Then I will do all these things. Okay. I have not a hard target. I will see if I can reshoot the video maybe tonight, or if I'm too tired, maybe tomorrow morning before taking my family to the afternoon lunch or night dinner. I will try to complete. Maybe on the Monday I will try to release it. Let's see what I'm able to do. Again, you see that last few months you already maybe observe I'm a bit irregular in posting on in the videos because of the work pressure. It gives a lot, right? So and you cannot do much about that. Even you have another problem is baby doesn't sleep 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I'm not having enough sleep that is required. So that's also another thing. So expect a bit delay. Unavoidable, man. I'm also handling a lot of new things, right? Monitoring, okay. For monitoring again, ELK stack is there. I'm using ELK stack. I'm using Grafana, that is, and Prometheus for the Kubernetes part. ELK for all the instance and all, and Kubernetes as well. Sometime CloudWatch if there is a requirement, satisfying the requirements. Again, based on the requirements, we do all that. Datadog, I have experience, but I'm not using my recent projects. New Relic also I have experience. I was using in my few company like 2 3 or maybe 4 year back that I used the New Relic one. Dynatrace I learned, but yet to apply anywhere. I just learn it. I know how it works, but didn't get chance to deploy anywhere. I really want to deploy that and control that, but you don't have the opportunity, right? It is what it is. Okay. Um, okay. Blue Ocean is what I really like. Actually, when I started, doing like the first server I ran was actually Blue Ocean, not AWS. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. So I was used to use their droplets, the solution and all. The moment I get to know about AWS, it's infinite. I mean, infinite possibility of using instances and all. We all know that's not infinite, but at least you have a very high capacity you can, or you can say very high scalability you will get achieve, right? So up to that level. So then onwards I started doing certification. I work for a lot of clients. I think now already how many years in AWS? 4 5 years I'm working in the AWS technologies. So that's actually a very good one. Okay, for I don't know. Elasticsearch as well. Again, I don't know the context here. Too much hard work appreciated. Thank you, Azar. Uh, exactly. Strategy meeting should always. I will suggest strategy is not a strategy if it's on your brain and it's a company project. You should have at least another mind. It's better if it's the senior engineer so that you will be in the same level. Right? You cannot take suggestion from junior resources. You can. They also sometimes point out good things. But most of cases, if it's a senior engineer, you have much better architecture. Chances of things will success will be also higher. So that's what I suggest. Okay. Um okay, so Azar saying that how much you're remembering everything ISC CM tools in Kubernetes. See, I keep my own notes. So in the gist, there is a page called gist.github.com. Whatever I learn, I know I'm going to forget. Maybe next day I forgot something. It can happen, right? With a lot of things going on. So I create a notes. Whatever I learn something new, useful, I simply create a note in the that gist. Sometimes I put in my notebook. Sometimes I just don't feel like it. I want more solid cloud storage for all my notes. So I go to gist and get a private gist. There I put all the codes, all the logic that I use for this scripting for this use case, so that next time I have to do exact same thing, I can just quickly take a look at that. I'll be able to get all the idea back. I'll recall everything. So again, I don't remember every single thing. Nobody can, to be honest. But I can quickly remember if I look at the things what I did earlier. Maybe past codes or maybe that note. If I look, I'm gonna recall within say 5 or 10 minutes max. That's how it is. Same for the CAM or Kubernetes. Okay, configuration or Kubernetes also. See, I still use Docker. Okay, that's a guilty pleasure I can say. For few projects, for my personal project, I use Docker multiple places. So it's not like missing it for anyway. For the image build generation and all, I still use Docker many places. So it's not I'm missing it. I'm still using it. Uh, yes, it's a very good thing that I think it was context to that DevOps and that other things that I'm going to learning and all. Okay, so yeah, DevOps itself is a very big thing. Okay, it's Brownie Tide saying that are data ETL pipelines created by data engineers or DevOps engineers? Again, they will give you scripts and all as a DevOps engineer. Like if they have the knowledge, they can create it entire thing. If they don't have, they will give their script to us. We have to create the infra for that. Okay. Um, Another good question. Now I'm so confused. Every 2 days I had to revise. I don't have confused answer. And actually, I know that feeling really well. Actually, make it smaller so that you guys are able to see the full thing. Okay, so yeah, uh, you get confused between two this. Usually, I don't want to get confused in Ansible Jenkins Terraform. See, it's if you daily work on something, okay, that you will not get, you will not forget. But if you work on eventual basis, you work today, maybe after 2 week or 1 week you're revisiting, or maybe after 2 months, you are bound to forget. I at least forget, okay. But again, when I keep working, say 2 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe one day, I remember every single thing. So it just when it's switching, right? So when switching happen for few moments, minutes, or maybe hour, will be in that phase. But as soon as you start working and keep making changes, it will all come back and you will be able to do it. Everyone has, I mean, at least me, I have the same problem. So I just revisit, work on that. It goes on really well after that. So what type of organization are you working on? A pharma, consumer? For now, AI company. Up to that I can share, right? So AI company I'm working on. Mm, so that's why I have actually knowledge of the data modeling and all. Okay. Um, DevOps engineers, DevOps is always high. Learning stream is exciting one way, and sad is that every weekend I have to sit. But this, yeah, I mean, see, you sit on every weekend. I sit on every single day. My wife get angry. I cannot do much about that. But every day, at least in the morning or at least in the night, I do open my LinkedIn. I go to different DevOps post. I go to my that article. I have a very many article sections in phone. I just go to search about the DevOps article, DevOps updates and all that. Do have very good website. Okay, DevOps related websites where I get the latest updates and all. Okay, I do a lot of research. 1 or 2 hour daily I put myself in going through the learning phase so that anything new coming, better coming, I should have the idea. I do follow AWS blogs, AWS newsletter. Every time that's the highest priority. If there is a new AWS newsletter in the email, I will not look at anything else. I will look at that first. That has huge knowledge potential, okay, for different things. So that's what I do. Okay, which is the best for DevOps? I will say still Python is the best for DevOps in terms of getting opportunities, usability, learning, low learning time. In terms of performance basis, Go is the best because you can run a lot of more thing in smaller space and small, like more optimized for multi-thread processing. So I will say that. In terms of learnability, getting opportunities, Python. So two or both are best. I mean, I will still prefer Python. If there is a requirement for Go, I will definitely use Go. Um, what is the next? Okay, that I'm still hesitant to share. Sorry, but I mean, if you are thinking, you can simply go apply in Turing and see whatever is your. I mean, I will say give you a very example. Whatever is your last pay into 30, I mean plus 30, 40, 100 based on your skills, you can add. Okay, that up to I can tell. I'm not more than that. Hey Riddhi, Yash. I mean, I think I don't know. Yes, I didn't get your question. Maybe I got. I just already go through. I mean, if I didn't able to cover, you are more than welcome to ask again. Okay, so no worries. I lost the question itself. Okay, let's see. It's Yash. Uh, is how our DevOps engineer interview in Google MS. I will not go to detailed phases, but it's most cases you have two initial phone calls, 4 and 5 technical interviews, different technical stakeholders, and then I mean, of course, there is a DS test. You have from programming test, some solution test. Now these is I think these companies are not taking the DS. Some cases, if not that programming required, but most cases I think many cases there where they had some DS requirements. Again, that part, this DS interview part only involved if this is a Mang or Fung, previously it was Fung. So Mang companies, it's Google, Microsoft, Amazon, these companies. So some bit of DS, other tool services, mainly DevOps. Is DevOps tools is a programming question they will ask. And DevOps, actually you have to give them interview related to the programming and different DevOps technologies, methodologies, use cases, strategies, all those kind of will get asked. Okay. It's Riddhi Singh wanted to ask you, SRE same role as DevOps. SRE actually is more of making sure the service your owner, that's up, always optimized, running latest codes and all, have the proper DevOps flow or deployment flow, right? So kind of similar to DevOps, but DevOps has a much higher scope than SRE. SRE more of a specific to a boundary. You can say there is a bit boundary in the SRE where the focus is more of a solution centric or particular, yes, task centric. But in DevOps, it's kind of um, more and more opportunities, like more task is added and all. So there is a thin boundary. Maybe I will make a video on the differences. Again, not so many, but the conceptual level there is a difference. The tasks, maybe both are doing same things, but conceptual there is a difference. I will definitely make a video on the difference video. Okay, because if I keep talking about that entire thing will take this video. Okay, so one question here, that I like videos. Sorry, his name is I like videos. So having 4+ years on Pega developer, I would like to change domain. Which domain is suitable for now? That's for me, it is hard to tell you. If you have a knack of programming, then definitely go for the programming. If you have a knack for DevOps, cloud and all, then go for the cloud or DevOps. If you have the knack for the solution architecture, and also become a solution architect. So based on the things that you are interested in, you should make the move. Okay, so that should be your goal. Okay, so it's Pratik Kumar saying that I'm working as a DevOps engineer. I learn new tools. Sometimes it takes months. I agree. When sometimes it takes months. If it's a very complicated tool, so of course it will take time. But after some time, I almost forgot. I also forgot. Nothing new. But keep a note. Now, if you're learning something, keep a note so that next time something requirement come in that particular technology, you at least have your notes. So watching at your notes, you remember. I mean, most cases what happen. If I write a note, it's very easy to remember. So you keep the important points in a note so that it will be easy for you to remember. Okay, that you should do. How can I remember the tools for the long run? That is the way. You cannot remember for every single. If you're not using that tool, if you're using actively, you will remember. But if you're not using that tool actively, you will definitely forget. Unless I forget every time if I don't use it. So I keep a note every time I forget. I mean, if the requirement came on the particular tech that I learned, then I forgot. I look at my note. I remember. See, the good thing is about my learning, I share my notes every 99% of time in LinkedIn. Even though it get copied by other people, they claim it their own. Uh, uh, Still, I sometimes I take discouraged, be honest. But then again, I come to my senses and say, okay, this is gonna happen. There's not much you can do about it. Thinking of that again, I release the new documents, notes that I make. And the good thing about this, the notes I made will be much more clear. Um, I I really give my lot of time to prepare the note, not for you guys actually, that for me also. Whenever I forgot, suppose in the next few months I'm not using the particular thing. Okay, for example, then and suppose that particular requirement came, I look at my that note that I beautifully made, not just you guys, for me that was very useful. That's why also the additional reason I make it, I remember it myself also. Okay, but I do hate it, not hate, I would say discourage also, when people just blindly copy and claim their own. That's, I feel, I mean, sometimes what I've seen that people actually took my notes and everything, then marked my name in the what do you call it, watermarks, and put their own name there, and they're saying that's made by them, then they're charging from people. That also hurt a little bit. But yeah, that's how the fraud do, and we cannot, how much you can prevent from this happening, right? So I just let it go sometime. But anyway, let's come to the topic. Yes, do make notes that will make you remember every single thing. Okay. What is the next question? Get paid? So it's a very good question. As DevOps engineer, do you get paid as SRE or less? Considering 3 experience both. Suppose there is 3 experience. Again, the company that you're applying from. See, it's a local cheap company, and Google and Amazon the pay is hell and heaven difference, right? So that's one thing. But suppose a DevOps engineer in Google and a SRE engineer in Google, as per my own research, again, could be different, could be not match with the people. I have seen DevOps engineer get bit more than the SRE engineer. Okay, maybe again based on the requirements, based on the responsibilities, that differ a bit. But in general, I've seen DevOps is much higher pay if it's the same company you're considering with same experience, three experience. But again, if it's a company to company, something called is not apple to apple, apple to orange, you can call it. But company to company matter. The skill set you have in 3 years, you work on a lot of skill set as an SRE, and you work on limited skills as SRE. Your pay will be also different, right? So a lot of things to consider before commenting on that. I still did a very rough idea comment, so you can take it. Okay, so next question. Could you please share how you are learning blockchain and DeFi, any learning path? See, I simply, there is a Neville, some person name with N, okay? I follow that guy YouTube video. I don't actually, I forgot his name. He's a very famous guy for the, I mean, if somebody remember his name, right now I'm not in my mind. Neville or something, start with N. I have a bookmark of this, of his videos and all. I do follow his videos in Udemy. It's free for everyone working for any companies. They're giving you free, right? So I go to Udemy and search for some blockchain and DeFi courses. I do that there. Okay. I always go for the top reviewed one. So that also you can do. And that's how I learn. I do practice. I make small contracts, small blockchain application. I know front end. I know back end. I'm a full stack guy anyway. So it's easy for me to try out all that. If you don't have the knowledge of this, programming things, then you must learn the programming language first that you're going to use. That will be the way. So step one, learn JavaScript, then some front-end framework, it will be easy. Then any back-end programming, if you're learning JavaScript, you can go for the Node.js. If you have knack in Python, learn Python. So these are the two things you should learn before jumping to the blockchain things. After that, you can learn the blockchain and DeFi things. Okay, that should be good enough. Okay, career path to go from Azure Cloud Admin to DevOps Engineer. Sorry, I think if you go to my LinkedIn and if you go to my past post, there is the DevOps roadmap updated 2022. I think that one is there. You can follow that one because it's a big thing, right? You have to cover from the beginning, the start to end, right? You can go and refer to that particular article. It already had the learning resources, the flow, and everything. It will be helpful. Okay. What is the secret to nail DevOps engineer and get multiple offer? Which tool should better like? Okay, again, it's more of, in general, see what is the most trending. You go to any freelancing site, you go to any job post of different companies, you will find the commonality. Okay, find the commonality where it's they are focusing, they're emphasizing. That is the skill set is highest demand at the moment, right? And that you should focus on. That will of course give you multiple offers because it's the most common requirement. And also see that what is the uncommon skill they're asking for some companies, and they're willing to pay a lot higher. That is the thing that not many engineers out there that you can learn as an exceptional developer, and you might get a better pay. So learn common and learn uncommon. You have to learn both to make a difference and get these big offers. Okay, that I would suggest. Okay, yes, it's a very good question. So people nowadays doing multiple certifications. Let me make it a small. Okay, I hope it's fitting. So yeah, the people nowadays are doing multiple certification, mostly on for promotions or getting interviews. What's your experience being a senior DevOps engineer experience or certification? As a senior DevOps engineer with certifications, I never get any pay raise. Okay, that's something coming at. I never ever got. I have the professional DevOps certifications, right? So, looking at a certification, nobody give me any increment or any job offer. Literally, that's a reality. But it helped me stronghold my knowledge and experience, the learning experience while going through all the certification. That helped me to get very high paying jobs and clearing very high level interviews. Okay, so of course it didn't help me to get direct very high opportunities directly, but indirectly the learning experience and the hardship that I go through to achieve the certification. That helped me to clear up many interviews and get very high paying DevOps jobs. Okay, that is the only thing I want to cover. So certificates itself will not that have value. You can just get a dump. You just get it from other people. Like these days, a lot of people going and hiring other people to get the certification done wrongful way. I never suggest. That is bad for your own career if you are going through that. I will never suggest that one. So again, the experience of like all the hardship you do to get the certification is the most important part that other people miss. It's not the certification; it's the hardship you do. To that, you get the like you pass the different interviews. You get the hands-on experience, and you pass interviews. You do your job really well if you have the knowledge and of course practical experience more. That should be a focus, not the exact certificate. Many people do because they are not getting enough opportunities. They or maybe they want some attention from other people. They are like people are not maybe visiting their profiles, not they're giving them any look, not giving them a chance. So maybe there is their desperate try to get opportunities. That's also not a wrong thing. You can do certify, you can post on LinkedIn in LinkedIn and other places in a hope to get better opportunities. Nothing wrong about that. It's good promotion, I would say. Do it. But just for the sake of showing it, that should be not the good thing. You should learn the things so that you can pass on. Like, okay, you're posting some certification and all, but at the end, if you're not able to clear the interviews, what is the use case of that? You're not getting paid for anything, right? So that's my point. Okay, certification good enough. Some there is one use case I will say extra way. Some companies make the certification mandatory or preference. So suppose you are going to any interview where they're preferring some certificate, say DevOps engineer profession or solution architect profession for AWS opportunity. There, if suppose you are going to interview, there is 20 people, you or maybe other two people have the certification, then you and the experience, of course, you pass the interview in general, then you will get preferred than other people. That's one case. Second case, there are APN companies or certification like gold companies where this service provider or cloud service provider prefer these guys if that particular company have more than they have a quota of certification. That in this company 11, 10, 5, 2, whatever the people is there should have this number of certification. Then only will give you this job or migration or this implementation job. Those companies actually for to them the certified people matters. So APN companies or the partner companies for any particular service provider prefer the certificate people, and some companies maybe differ more than that do prefer certification, but commonality you have to pass the exams, otherwise certification have no value. Okay. Okay, is Deepak saying, I'm working as Jenkins, Docker, GCP, Kubernetes, Terraform, scripting, Groovy, Helm chart, and a lot of troubleshooting on daily basis. Of course you're on the right path. Again, you're utilizing multiple. That's what I'm coming at. So the DevOps engineer, we have to go through all the skill set. That is the common thing. You are going on the right path, but also prepare for future. You see a lot of new things coming, blockchain, DeFi things, right? You should, as a learning task, you should learn how to deploy solution in different platforms like in the DeFi and blockchains and all. Okay, that should be your target as well. Again, I'm saying current scenario as well as future scenarios. Okay. So where do you guys store the certificate? For me, actually, uh, it's either there is JFrog or sometimes I store in the like most of the time I will store in the AWS. Okay. Now what is next? Uh, do you okay? One question here. Do you guys use state locking? I use state locking Terraform because a lot of programmers work in the Terraform at the same time. I use with DynamoDB table plus the S3 for the state logging and all. Mainly DynamoDB. Okay, there I use for the state logging. It natively support it. For other cloud also there is provisions. You have to look at that. Is Pratik saying I'm a DevOps engineer? I learned okay. That's I think we already covered that one. That should not be a problem. Ajay saying that what is the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment? Okay, that is a very you can say the most difference these days. I mean most confusing for different people. So the thing is that continuous deployment and continuous delivery, right? So what is continuous deployment? Okay, so suppose you are you in your say in your CI pipeline, you run some build, okay, and that build all gone through, okay. Now now that particular build you have to deploy, right? So what's going to happen? You are going to have a deployment tool, right? Say code deploy and that. So in that phase, you have a choice to add an approval step or not to add an approval step. So with approval step, it will require QA engineer or release manager actually give that approval. Then only that will deploy. In another phase, if you don't have approval, it just quickly go and deploy to the production stage or whatever environment you are doing for the deployment. So now what is the difference between continuous delivery and the deployment? So continuous delivery is actually partly manual, where developer or any release manager can deploy any changes to custom solution, but they need a approval button or approval logic or approval links. You have to click and approve. Then for the continuous deployment, you don't need to add that approval step. So that is the difference. So in continuous delivery, you have to add that approve option or manual intervention needed. For continuous delivery, you don't, I mean continuous deployment, you don't need that manual. It can, after the CI phase done, it can deploy to the servers that you want to deploy. Okay, so that is the difference. I hope I able to explain that in easy way. My goal is to explain in the easy way. Okay, so I have no, it's just one saying that I have a knowledge in AWS cloud and Terraform. I'm confused on which tool should you learn next. Learn about the okay, if you have the you don't have programming language knowledge, I will suggest to go for the Python and Go, based on your choice. If you already know one any backend programming language knowledge, then you should go for the Ansible and then go for the Jenkins. That will be better because you're going for the infra, right? So after infra is done, you should focus on the configuration management for using Ansible, then the CI/CD solution using Jenkins. That will be a more favorable flow. Okay. One question here: do we get to build and compile multiple applications like Java, Node.js, Mulsop like everywhere, new web, or do we have to work on just one application CI/CD? No, I mean different. Sometimes it's Ruby, sometimes it's Python, sometimes it's Go, sometimes JavaScript. For different use cases, you have to write or set up your pipelines. Okay, so that could be anything. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Now the thing is that if you're deploying Dockerized application, then that the CI, at least CI part where you're building the image, could be same for all the application type, because all application type have their own Docker file. So based on the Docker file, whatever the image you're going to build, that configuration, based on that configuration, that particular build will happen. That could be common. But for the deployment part, again, deployment case also could be more or less common thing. But if it's require more customization, you can do it for the deployment flow could be different based on the source application. But again, if it's a Dockerized flow, most cases is common these days. If it's a direct binary deployment, or say not the Docker on one, then you need separate pipelines. Based on the requirement, you have to decide that. Okay. Um, Kishore Kumar Beda, what's your view on the DevSecOps and cloud security specific role, which include DevOps? Okay, that's actually pretty interesting plus pretty important questions. I will come why that part. Okay, do you think it will be demand in the future, longer term? It's not just future. Current state also in demand. If you have security knowledge in DevOps or any stream or any even application development, also you have very good knowledge on security part, you will be definitely get preferred. Okay, specifically if it's a security company, they might prefer you more than other people. So, and you should, I mean, any CI/CD deployment flow, suppose you're going to deploy a Docker image, you should actually have, specifically big companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, they have a separate process to debug any image flaws. I mean, many guys don't know it. Don't ask me how I know it. Okay, but I know it, that each of these companies for even Docker, they scan the Docker images, fix out all the problem. They make a, like after the fix happen, they make the new image, make sure that image has no security bug problem. Then they deploy that image to the cloud. Sometimes it's unavoidable, fine, but if that is unavoidable, I mean, if it's avoidable, they must fix that before moving. Again, don't ask me how I know it, but I know this one. Okay, good thing I don't have any NDA with any companies because they don't know how I know it. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing. Security is pretty important. No matter what solution you are providing, you should have the security part in your mind. DevSecOps and SRE is also, security is very important. So what the point Kishore said, that it will be in demand, is currently in demand. In future, it will be more demanding. Tools might change, but the methodologies, the ideas you're talking about here, DevSecOps or cloud security specific, okay, roles will still be there, will still be, flourishing at the time. Because you see, more the days going, more the attacks are increasing, right? So how that can decrease? At least for next 5 years, I don't think it will decrease. Okay, it will be more surgical at it. Okay. It's Ajay. I think Ajay question. I don't know. I forgot what was the Ajay's question, but I think he is Azar answering that. CI is fetching you code, compiling your code building, your code testing, is unit testing, yes, and continuous integration testing, and getting the final artifacts. Yeah, that's what the CI phase does. Okay, which CD is deploying your yapping test and program? If it's in Jenkins, of course, I use Jenkins for the direct deployment. There is a lot of plugins available. In direct deployment, plugin also works well. There is, if it's AWS, then of course code deploy. If it's the GitHub CI, then not Git, sorry, GitLab CI, GitLab CI/CD I use sometime. Again, based on the different requirements, the code, where its code exists, where is the company type, where their current workforce is more used to. I decide based on that. But if it's AWS, I just most cases I prefer it using the AWS CI/CD pipeline. That's pipeline, code commit, code build, code deploy. That should be my go-to choice. Okay. Also, sir, is SRE only operational? No, no, no. SRE also have some development. Again, each role has its own set of requirement for different. It's even different for different companies. So, if a company posting a SRE job, you have to see that requirements are the only operational part, or there is some coding and something required. Based on that, you should decide you should go for or not. Again, the role is a just like a DevOps role. SRE role also very vast role where people like think you might do the entire programming of application also. Some companies think that. So it's very different compared to companies. Okay. Mm, last package of DevOps is last package of DevOps in companies. There is absolutely no last packages. It could be crores, more than that. It could be only 10,000, 20,000 rupees based on the your location, except your remote you can work for any company, you can ask for any pay based on your skills, in your experience, what you can prove to them based on that. Um, but in general, if you have idea, say good DevOps skill knowledge, you have good idea on different deployments, Kubernetes, infra as a code tools, Ansible, on all these tools I talked about, you will have a much better pay. Okay, so again, based on the requirement, your location, company location, your skill set, lot of things variable you should get. So the minimum pay and maximum pay, again, different for a lot of reasons. There is no particular thing as a minimum pay. I'm sorry, maximum pay. Okay. Career path is to go from Azure Cloud Admin to DevOps. Again, I think I told you, go to my LinkedIn profile. There is an article on DevOps roadmap. You should follow that one. Yes, thank you, Shivam, saying that you'll have inspiration for many youngsters. Keep up. Thank you, Shivam. How do I get internship in DevOps? See, in DevOps, as I say, even in this session also, what are the skills I do work, right? Most cases, Terraform, Ansible, Jenkins, DevOps methodologies, microservices. I think I cover the serverless part also. I do use a lot of Lambda and this serverless DB, MongoDB. Of course, MongoDB also use MongoDB other DBs. I use DynamoDB a lot, and there's Azure Serverless DB also. Azure like Aurora DB, that one also. So that is, if you have all these ideas, you will get better chance in DevOps as an internship also. Okay, I'm confused in the environment. Okay. It's I think let's make it big. So it's should answer saying that I'm confused in environment, dev stage product branching strategy. How to say if they ask? See, why there is a branding strategy? In DevOps, you work on the always new things that might not work in production, that things might have bugs, that thing could follow up the next minute. That's why you got dev. In dev, anything can happen. Your goal is to have always a stable dev, but dev in the sense it might have some bugs which QA will test. Okay, so in dev, or maybe there's actually another stage called QA. You maybe missed that one. So in dev, you do your development, you deploy your changes, whatever, just work freshly. It's maybe stable, maybe not stable. Okay, it's just whatever worked, you push to dev. So that dev is your development branch where you work on the actual development. What is the stage? So in the stage flow, it's somewhere stable, is okay for the QA. So you, or maybe QA actually, sometimes QA use this stage environment as a testing as well. So this QA or staging you can sometimes get merged based on your budget, based on requirement, based on the teams. Their understandability also matters. So based on a lot of things that get decided. So in that they maybe the client do the testing or maybe other engineer do the testing to make sure everything working. And then there is prod. So in the prod, it's you work so hard to make sure in the pro. I mean, of course, if it's an optional QA phase, only QA got do the testing, run automated test cases to make sure it's working all fine. And after all this dev stage and QA, if it worked well, then you are moving to production. That is the most stable deployment you can have. Okay, so that's again based on that you can have different grid branding strategy. For dev you have a dev branch, for stage you have stage branch, for QA you have QA, then the QA branches. Okay, then for production also you have different. I mean, you could have only even either main or master or prod branch where you only do the production deployment. So that's how the strategy. Again, strategy could be there are sort of variations based on the project requirement. Only you decide how should be your branding strategy. Okay. What is all tools that you use on day-to-day basis? As I say, Terraform, Ansible, Jenkins, Kubernetes, um, monitoring CloudWatch, AWS Cloud. Of course, all my deployments are in AWS. Anyway, I'm can say I'm an AWS specific engineer because I mean I do have knowledge on Google Cloud and Azure as well, but my most of the time last few years I've only worked on the AWS specific technologies. Okay, it's Riddhi Chakraborty saying that. Sorry, Riddhish again. Sorry if I'm spelling it wrong. My bad. Saying that with 10 year experience, if a person switches DevOps or cloud side, what kind of responsibilities usually assigned service or product based companies? Service based companies or product based companies, they will have a different set of requirements. I mean, could be see ultimately service based companies what they do, they hire you for other people. So other product development companies hire this service company. This service company then hire you to work for the direct. I mean, as a work as a buyer to work for the product development company. So ultimately, you think that you are working in a product development company only directly or indirectly. So that company might have the different requirements. So could be deploying solution like creating an infra as a code. I mean, you write Terraform codes and deploy to infra. Or maybe you write a cloud formation code to deploy in the AWS, or maybe you write there is other. There are a lot of solutions out there. It could be anything like Plumi, right? Um, so those are the things you write and deploy your solution in the cloud. Maybe as a DevOps engineer specifically, you write the CI/CD pipeline in Jenkins, or maybe you write the pipeline CI/CD pipeline in using build spec in AWS code build. So these are the things you have to do as a DevOps engineer, as engineer or maybe cloud engineer based on the role selection you do, as I told you. So if again each company has a different requirement, so based on that requirement you have to do. There is no hard and set rule. You have to do only this, or only that. Based on the company requirement, it will change. Okay. Okay. So what is next? Thank you. Hey Chirag, finally after a long time you're watching session. I do watch your videos, man. By the way, like if you guys don't know Chirag also have a channel. I think it's now Chirag maybe Data Cloud. So you just search by the Chirag Nair anyway. Chirag, if you have any query related to certification or cloud, he have more knowledge than me in the cloud services. So you have any doubt, any confusion, um, feel free to reach out to Chirag. He's a very helpful guy, very really cool guy. I know him personally from many years now. So you have any questions, do reach out to Chirag. He's also a nice guy. He definitely, whenever he get chance, okay. He also have his job, of course. I have a family now. So you will definitely reply. So any certification or cloud specific questions, he's a pre-sales guy. Even if you have any questions about cloud pre-sales and all, you can reach out to Chirag. Cool guy, and he'll definitely reply you. Okay. It's okay. I think I answered that one already. Uh, as I say, internship in DevOps, get the proper skill set. As I say already, a lot of tools that I'm using this day-to-day basis. So you have that, you will definitely get an opportunity. Um, I think that's how can I switch from web hosting to DevOps. As I say, you get the skills that is required for the DevOps field. I already say I will not again repeat myself. Already repeated multiple times. You have the skills that I mentioned. Will definitely even I think better for you. Just go to my LinkedIn profile and there is a article I've written. I have worked so hard to write the article, to be honest. So you can just I'm giving you the article, man. I think everyone asking for it. I think I should simply go ahead and give you guys that link, so then it will be better. So quickly let me give you the link, then just give me 1 minute, okay. Mm, that is finding my own article becoming tough. So many articles, right? I don't know guys if you guys see it or not, but there is a lot of articles. uh, okay, DevOps roadmap. Yes. So I'm just posting that article link in the comment section. You guys must check it out if you are thinking of moving to DevOps. Okay. Just check it out. Okay. Let's come back. Okay. Still a lot of questions. So I will definitely answer all the questions today at least. So it's Azhar saying, let me just make it a bit smaller. So big. Uh, this is actually a beta version I'm using. Okay. Oh, I can make it small like this. Okay. That's good thing. Okay, so the question is, sir, as DevOps engineer, do we get paid same as SD roles or less? We get paid, man, more than SD roles sometimes. It's not secret or open secret. It's just, see, based on your, I get a lot. Okay, so based on your experience, based on your skill set, you will definitely get good pay. Okay, it's sometimes or most of the time I work with a lot of other DevOps engineers also, right? I know at least them personally, and some are very close friends, so they, well, it's sometimes not good to share the income and all, but still I know personally, so I know how much they get. We discuss pay range and all everything. For different calls also, I do consulting for DevOps engineer, cloud engineers, SDs also sometimes, because they want to deploy something, they don't have the particular specialist knowledge. They book a session with me using Buy Me Coffee, and then we have a 1 hour or 2 hour session. Then we do the solution, at least if not complete, but at least the idea and the initial solution, then he improved it further on. So that we do. So I know what is the pay. So it's actually very good pay for DevOps engineer. Again, if and only if you have the right skill set, then only you will get a really good pay. Okay. Sometimes it's better than the SD, of course. I think what is and so yeah, I think I have covered that part. Thanks because your content I got 50% plus. Okay. So it's actually I'm more than happy and more encouraged to see this kind of comments where you really get good opportunity, get really get stand in life. See, content making actually, I don't know, many people don't know or not know that it took a lot of research. Okay, in weekends after the job, suppose I'm completing my task for the day for company, then I get very little time for family. I just keep my, go to my daughter, play a little bit for maybe 30 minutes maximum, or 1 hour maximum, 30 minutes to 1 hour, okay, maximum, not altogether. Then as soon as that is done, then I plan, okay, what should be this week, what should be next week, what is, I go through different messages, different comments and all, what they are asking for. Then I choose a topic, okay, this is the most asked question and all, and that will be useful in your day-to-day job. I go through all that, and it makes me really happy when people get benefited from all that. I do really love that, okay, because money I'm making kind of more than enough to sustain very good luxury lifestyle, or do all the stuff. That is not a problem anymore, or not a issue anymore. The thing what I'm doing after that hours is actually to make an impact, positive impact in the people lives. To they say, okay, at least it's something that people are happy, they're getting good opportunities, they're getting good pay, maybe switching to abroad. I do love, I think last year I have consulted 100 persons. Out of that, I think around 12 or 14 I think moved to some US, some Australia, I think some in the Canada. So that is the great part actually, that I did able to help them to clear their doubts, help in the interviews, not the direct interview. Not I don't do any support job, but having the skills to pass that particular interview, having the mindset to pass the interviews, that helped me when I found out, okay, they're doing really well in the life and they're happy. Your happiness is my happiness, guys. Okay. Um, it is saying, Sandeep, if a person start learning DevOps, what should be started? I will say, if you are learning DevOps, first you understand the software development flow, because ultimately what you're going to deploy, you have to be from the beginning of the software development to end, end to end flow. So that is the SDLC flow. You should know that. You should have a basic, at least not just basic, medium level knowledge of software development, developing application, deploying it. Okay, that you should have. Any one backend programming, be it Python, be it Go, be it JavaScript, I don't care, any backend programming language, you should have the idea and deploy the APIs or some services, run cron jobs, run some automation. You run automation in Python, for example. Those kind of specialized knowledge will be required and will make your life a lot better as a DevOps engineer further on. Because in the different interviews, they will ask you, I have a log file, I want to see what are the bad responses, 400 or maybe below, or maybe 400 status code, or maybe 500 status code. So you have to go through each line, and you should have the idea how to go through all the lines, then get to a string search or match particular word, and then get the data back. And then, okay, these are the this many lines had this particular, or maybe parse the data as a JSON, then get the particular value. This many has a bad responses. This was the IP. This is example. Or maybe uh, you are getting one message from any CloudWatch event. You have to process the data, make it more human readable, and post it to Slack, or maybe write and make automatic emails to the engineers or the CEOs, or whatever is the stakeholders there. So those are the things that you are expected to do as a DevOps engineer, right? So you should have SDLC flow, you should have basics backend development knowledge, then infra as a code, say uh, Terraform with different clouds, for example, AWS or GCP or Azure, then Ansible for even different configuration management on different clusters or servers, then Jenkins for the CI/CD. It's open source, so many companies actually utilize that, and it has a lot of huge community support. So you should learn that as a part of that. Then if you're learning about one particular cloud, be it AWS, then learn the CI/CD tools in AWS, pipelines, code pipeline, code build, code deploy, all those things. Then suppose it's Azure, then you should learn the Azure artifact, Azure depot, Azure code pipeline and all, Azure pipeline, not code pipeline, Azure pipeline. So those are the things you should learn. What you're learning based on that. Okay. The list can go on, but you should start somewhere. That's the important part. Does SQL experience come handy in DevOps? Yes, because some tools are there actually. Say the cloud. If for example there is container inside a cloud log inside that I'm doing query in the CloudWatch. I want to get some certificate. If you have a very vague idea of the SQL like language or SQL in general, or maybe Athena, those there also it will be very useful. Now, not just that, you as a DevOps engineer sometimes have to do data migration from one cloud to another cloud, from maybe one instance to other instance, maybe on premise to on cloud. There also you have to run migration statements and all, right. So then also this kind of, for PostgreSQL or MySQL or maybe any SQL kind of DB, then will be required. It will be helpful. Okay. 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 Let's see. Does experience command? Yeah, they already covered that one. What is the next question? Is real world one person can take care of CI/CD and the CI/CD? It's the see, once you do the CI/CD, you rarely touch that until unless the requirement change. So you do snap, you forgot for maybe few weeks or days or months, then the requirement change, you come back, just remember what you did, then make the changes. Okay, maybe there will be new CI/CD, but existing CI/CD rarely change. Okay, so it's a single person only who manages the CI/CD flow. It's Pranay say, hi Sandeep, I just want to tell you I've started my job as a DevOps engineer, and mainly I'm working on the Kubernetes administration. Apart from this, where I need to focus on. It's okay that you started DevOps engineer and working on Kubernetes, but don't just stuck out only Kubernetes tasks. Because more than Kubernetes, there are other skills and tools. You can try to work on C infra as a code. If the current company doesn't give you the opportunities, do the side work projects. I don't care. You have to have some hand-on experience so that you make a company switch after a few years or maybe 1 year, maybe next month. Suppose they're for any reason, sometimes companies facing some loss or any problem, their client leave, they are asking the employees to go leave, right? Or just asking them to leave, right? That can happen for any company, and I expect that to happen for any company. I always prepare for that. Okay, so in those cases, if you have multi skill set with good experience and exposure, you will get a opportunity better, right? So you should always keep in mind that kind of thing. So even if you're working on single Kubernetes administration, you should have knowledge and you should work on even with side projects in Terraform, Ansible, maybe serverless application building or deployment. Those kind of will be really helpful. Okay, so the next question, it's Sami Sheikh saying that I have joined Mindtree. Good, congratulations! I got trained on cloud platform which had courses regarding AWS, Azure, Terraform, and Azure. What should I do further? You already learn AWS, Azure, Terraform, Azure DevOps, then learn about the Ansible, Jenkins, infra as a code, Pulumi, and all those things and kind of stuff. That will be useful. You already seem you already know the AWS and Azure, then use Terraform, custom module development, okay, EKs, AKs, a lot of things. I mean, you have infinite choices. You do try all that, na? Yes, always welcome. Okay, this was the first session I've joined. Really appreciate the time you had given. Always welcome. Um, it's Chandan Sharma. I am from an infrastructure background, noting nothing new about coding. How to learn the basic scripting. See, for Terraform, you actually don't need to learn programming. It's if you know the JSON structuring and all basic one, even if you don't know basic, it's easy. Terraform more of a configuration based kind of thing. So it's easy. You don't actually need a programming language knowledge. If you have, it's better. If you don't have, still you can learn Terraform. It's not that complicated. Okay. Um, but yeah, it will be useful if you learn kind of any backend programming. I will say Python will be easy to learn, so you can go Python. Go to my channel. Actually, there is a Python for Cloud playlist available. That's completely free of cost, and I've covered a lot of things about programming, handling cloud load, or cloud workload. So you can refer to that one. Okay. Okay, Sprener. Also, Sandeep, I have messaged you on LinkedIn. Hope you can have a check out. I will definitely, I will definitely, because I think right now LinkedIn messaging maybe thousands of messages under it. I do try to read all. Honestly, I do try, but think about, man, with so much volume, I have other tasks to do. How I can read all the messages? Even there is email also. A guy I think mailed me last day. I didn't, because of the email flow also increasing day by day. So I didn't able to reply that. He reminded another mail. The moment I saw it, I simply replied it. So suppose I'm exploring LinkedIn, I'm replying to some comments or maybe I'm exploring some here and there. At the moment some message came, that get the immediate deployment, immediate replies. DevOps deployment coming. So I do immediate reply, right? So suppose you are giving messaging me, and because of this huge volume in the messages, if I don't able to reply immediately, then you should after maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, you can put a reminder. if I see it, if I'm not repeatedly doing, you can shoot a mail because that's more of a direct. But you guys already, if you have downloaded my document ever, you know there is a contact and there is Sandip Das.in email available. That's kind of very active. I always in my MacBook that is open, so that any mail comes, it get a priority reply. If I'm not doing any other urgent work or if I'm just open, I'm not doing any urgent work, I reply. If I'm doing urgent work, then I don't reply. Don't even check that one. So that's higher chances of viewing. First the flow should be first check on the LinkedIn message me on LinkedIn. Then try if you're not able to, because of this message volume, you're not able to reply. Then you go to message mail. You're still not. Then just send reminder in both platforms. I will try to reply as soon as possible. Consider my timings also, man. Okay. um, okay. So yeah, just to them. Thank you again. Thank you for messaging. I will definitely reply when I get a chance. And I would be love to do what I'm doing more and more. Again, planning for the Kubernetes part, and there's a lot of other things planned. Right? As I explained in my different posts, like what are the next plan should be. Kubernetes, Ansible, a lot of things. More of the more programming kind of programming plus DevOps kind of stuff. That is also I have plans. I will definitely cover all that. Hey Shiva, I'm looking for Azure DevOps certification. What should I face? Of course, Azure. If you're going for the Azure DevOps in Azure DevOps, yeah, I will definitely say go to Udemy courses. If you have a Cloud Guru subscription, you can look at the a Cloud Guru course. That is good enough to give you some very high level idea and pass on. In the Wiz Lab, you will get some practice question. Most probably they have it. Then you can practice that one. Okay. 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 Now I'm going to. It's already 9, so I'm going to just check out 2, 3 from the last questions, not the all the flow because time is less now. So just going to cover quickly. Okay. Um, not having any experience in DevOps was learning it and working as Java dev now. What are the basic projects will help me in entry level position? See, try about your own code deployment, some GitLab CI/CD projects, some GitHub Action CI/CD project, those CI/CD deployment projects, some deployment using like Target as a AWS cloud, it's a Terraform project AWS cloud, some basic 2-tier or 3-tier application deployment, some serverless stack. I will actually do maybe next week if possible. A complete serverless stack deployment using Terraform. That will be another interesting one, much useful. Okay. The noise starts. Can you start AWS Cloud? Okay, it's one question. Pranash has it. This question on last question. Can I start with AWS Cloud and in okay, let's see. Okay, ISCS Terraform. Because I haven't worked on the cloud till now. Yeah, you obviously start it now. You can do start and start with AWS services, then start with the Terraform. Okay. Let's say there is 100 servers that need to manage by Ansible. How we're gonna set up SSH for Ansible? Do we have to do it Actually, no. You use common key for all the servers. If it's a key-based authentication, um, or maybe password with authentication, then you have the common password for all the servers. Most cases is the key-based authentication, okay? Or maybe even better, you have another server, you are dynamically generating certificate for the server, and you're adding the certificate to the all these 100 or 1,000 servers. You can do deploy remotely also. So most these servers will have a common key as their authentication mechanism, and in Ansible, then you communicate to all these servers. That's as many as I've worked till now from the day. I mean, from till day, every company use the same thing, not just one or two. Every company do that. Okay, don't do it manually. It should be automatic. Um, okay. Read about Terraform and your channel. Yeah, Terraform. I have 2 or 3 videos. I think you go to my channel playlist mainly on Terraform full course. Mainly for the certification if you want to pass and basic knowledge around that. And there is one module development. Okay, there will be more coming on the Kubernetes and all that. So you have to look for that one. Okay. Can you do a video on testing containers where microservices deployed? This should be happen before deployment in the case. I was asked in interview. I will just put a star mark on this one so that I can do ans I mean do I will take a note of it so that later on I can make a video on that. Shell scripting is for DevOps or Python? Shell scripting is more than necessary. Mandatorily you should know that you cannot do most of the things in DevOps, CI/CD, or a lot of things without shell scripting. It's a must. Okay, sooner or later you have to do shell scripting if you're joining as a DevOps engineer. 100% guaranteed. Okay, and Python will be very useful for writing complicated scenarios, complicated where you need to may say fetch the responses from JSON responses from other external sources, then you have maybe from database sources, then you process it, run your complicated logic on it. Those cases Python will be really useful, but more smaller and medium cases, your shell scripting should be a priority and should be get done with that. Complicated scenarios, then the Python will be really easy to like make that automation scripting and all. Okay, so yeah, both I will say shell scripting is necessary. Python will be helping your job better. Okay. Sir, in configuration management, answer enough when you are beginner in DevOps. Key when you are from, I think, and there is chef, there is weekend also, but most companies actually prefer because of the it's very easy to use Ansible and lot of package support. Red Hat have a full official support for Ansible is their thing. That's the reason Ansible is now become a de facto standard for any configuration management requirement. So you should go for that one. Okay. I think that's it for now. Already time's up. Okay. Okay. So any question that I didn't, a lot of questions still now, but I don't have much time. I have to just go somewhere else. So if you do have any questions, do let me know. I hope you got idea what it at the beginning of the video, what I do as a DevOps engineer. I answer as many questions as possible. Of course, anything I missed, you can message me whenever I get chance. I will definitely reply. Okay. Even I think a guy messaged me on I think 3 week back. I was going through the messages and I replied him today. So that's what I'm saying. Uh, if I get chance, I will definitely reply. Believe me. Okay. Just to remind me if I'm not able to reply. Sometimes that happens. It's fine, right? One question I think last I will just answer. Any advice you will give to a 22 years old self regarding DevOps? So if you are okay, suppose I'm a DevOps engineer. I start if I will make a video on that. If I start over my journey as a DevOps engineer, what it could be. I'll keep it okay. I will keep it separate video, not this. Not I will not explain this video. You already getting what are things to learn and all that. But this one I will actually make a video on it. It's a very good question. Okay, guys. One last question is I think again I'm keeping lag, but this question is so good question, man. So it's widely saying as a DevOps engineer, what should be your company's better, service based or product based? Again, service based company, what they're doing, they're hiring you to work for other product company. Direct product based company, you get direct payment, no via, no other problems. So your focus should be to work directly for the client company, product company. Product company is far better. Okay, in terms of pay, in terms of growth, in terms of the facilities you get in the product companies is much better than the service. That doesn't mean service companies are bad. There are service companies which are really good, but in general, product companies give better pay, better perks, better opportunities. Okay, so you should go for the product level companies. Okay, guys, I think I have answered a lot of questions. I hope I am able to answer your questions well. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. Do let me know in messaging, in email. You guys have all the details. I will try to make a recording for tomorrow or maybe in the Monday. I will release it on the AWS EKS and ELK stack. Again, it will be I may be using EKS Terraform EKS with Helm. I will use Helm to install the this ELK stack and all. I will see what I will do, and I'll be trying to release it as soon as possible. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye. Have a nice weekend to spend your time with your family. Enjoy the weekend. Bye. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe my channel, man. So if you're watching and you didn't subscribe my channel yet, do subscribe the channel. That help my morale to go up. That make me more motivated. So do that.